So, yeah, we're going to jump right into it. I am going to skip the first 9 minutes or so of this video. And unfortunately, well, fortunately for Board Gamer, which I still think this is like the coolest and funniest thing that he does this. Unfortunately, the video is only on Board Gamer's channel right now or on the CIG Twitch channel. So it's not in 4K. We're not going to see it in its best light. But this is the Life on the Edge part, but we're going to skip the beginning, which was the planning of Outposts. I don't think that that's very interesting, but once we get into the new settlements and some of the visuals that they show, it's quite cool. So, without further ado, Life on the Edge.
Hi, everybody.
I think the second to last panel we'll actually react to finally. There's so much.
I'm an assistant art director on Star Citizen for locations. Before we start, I'd like to mention that all of the footage we're about to see comes from our current stable builds. So all of that beautiful tech, all of those features that we've seen in the last 2 days is coming from our tech development builds. Now, all those features are going to make their way to you, of course, eventually. But that is the reason you're not going to see some of them in the builds today. I just wanted to get ahead of the comments a little bit there. So with that...
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I remember him saying this, but now I can't remember what he said.
Stable builds. So all of that beautiful...
One more time.
So I'm Eddie. I'm an assistant art director on Star Citizen for locations. Before we start, I'd like to mention that all of the footage we're about to see comes from our current stable builds. So all of that beautiful tech, all of those features that we've seen in the last 2 days
that's right.
is coming from our tech development builds. Now, all those features are going to make their way to you, of course, eventually.
So what they're going to show you today with these settlements will not have updated clouds, fog, lighting, the God rays, all that stuff.
But that is the reason you're not going to see some of them in the builds today. I just wanted to get ahead of the comments a little bit there. So with that said, what am I going to be talking about? Well, I'm really excited to show you that the hard work that the Sandbox One team have been doing to expand our new outpost locations. I'm going to start by going over how we've expanded the library and what that means we can now achieve with the new locations, and then how we achieve that
saw them in person
from the library by categorizing our locations into both archetypes and themes, and what that means for you as a player. So, I don't know if you remember this, but at CitizenCon in 2021, we showed this new style of outpost for the first time. Now, at this point, we had our art style locked in. We'd worked on our library of content to the point where we could make smaller locations like this one, but with a limited amount of variety between each one. And this is what that library of modules looked like at that point.
Wow.
We'd established our main building modules as well as some of our larger
and that's what it felt
and
like.
A number of smaller.
They even took this library and brought it to Microtech and kind of like dumbed it down or made it rundown or whatever, derelict.
Secondary and dressing and standalone modules. But each outpost couldn't be too large without there being some obvious repetition between the modules used. So let's have a look at that library today.
Significantly more, right? Even
in order
round
to achieve that greater visual and design delta between each outpost and have them not feel like exact clones of one another, we've massively expanded our module library in terms of breadth and depth. And what I mean that we go broad by making more modules with different purposes, and we go deep by creating multiple thematic overlays for each of those modules as well. I'll go into what that means a little bit.
I just got to point these out. These were something that they really sold to us as potential places for refineries.
In a minute. But the challenge of a sandbox location like
outside of the refinery stations,
it's not about building a single unique location. That can be quite straightforward, to be fair. It's about giving our artists and designers the building blocks, the affordance to build multiple locations that all feel somewhat different, even if they do share that same basic DNA. So it's about creating both the ingredients at the same time as the recipes and making sure all of those flavors work in harmony.
And I do apologize. I've had a lot of people commenting that I've talked over, so I just realized I did it again.
One another for both visuals and gameplay.
I'll do my best to not.
So every individual part has to take into consideration all of those design philosophies. So every single module has to take into consideration those design philosophies that Khan mentioned. But we also have to make sure that they work with those same principles when an artist or a designer combines them into any one of a number of different layouts. So the more ingredients we have to work with, the more recipes we can create.
Did they really sell the refineries? Not for money. Like, they sold them to us as like something we would potentially interact with.
But with that complexity comes the challenge of keeping...
We have to be very clear with that with Star Citizen. What a joke.
...everything harmonious. So we like to think we've done a pretty good job with that. But that's me. Using this expanded library, we've been able to increase the individual location size because there's less of that obvious repetition between buildings within any single location. And we can't really call some of these large locations...
And again, like every other one, they are just reading off what is here, so that's where I'd like to cover so you could see the visuals.
...outposts anymore. They become something more like settlements and imply a larger and more established community. Now, as a player...
And for the people that were at Pyro, at CitizenCon, yeah, they are absolutely settlements. I mean, look at this. This is a real location. There is so much going on here in terms of the actual structures that are there. You know, I doubt all of these are going to have, you know, NPCs and things to do in them, but they're selling it in terms of like visually it feels like a settlement. It feels alive.
I mean, a lot.
Well, okay. Does it feel alive? Maybe not, but it feels like it could be.
More to explore and do at any single individual location with a localized and personal feeling mission types that might see you moving around a single settlement to complete objectives or doing short hop missions between clusters of settlements on a single planet. So you might head up to a ridge to repair some wind turbines. You could counter an outlaw attack from a neighboring outpost, or on the opposite side, you might be stealing or destroying vehicles for the criminal gang that you're working for. But in the art department, we always say, show, don't tell. So let's stop looking at slides and let's have a look at some of the locations.
Yeah, this is when it gets really good. This is when it gets really, really good. You know, you see a ship landing. Like, they're selling it too by having there be some movement around here. But if you look, there is not a lot of movement, right? I think that's an NPC right there. And there's a lot of standing still and waiting for you instead of being alive while you're not there. So that's the piece of the puzzle that's missing still, which is totally fine for now, right? It's something that we want them to build up to. And they definitely have, you know, the palette or the canvas to build that life on top of right now, for sure, right? Look at this thing. They just need to breathe life into this game, you know? You guys remember when NPC ships, like, landed for the first time at a location? It was incredible.
Thank you.
Somebody just came to my chat and just said referral code, nothing else. Type !fly and you'll get the referral code if that's what you're looking for. He demanded it.
What flavors of Outpost did we just see there? Well, we categorize them in two different ways, as I said, and then we mix and match those categories together to provide that variation. Now, the first and primary category is the archetype, and they provide that core gameplay hook and define the main function of a settlement. So scrapyards have a landing pit module for repairs and refueling. Mining operations can have a refinery module and ore extractors for resource and commodity trading. And trading posts themselves allow a broader range of item purchases through the dedicated...
Okay, so trading posts, broader range of item purchases, scrapyards. Like, we need these to be very, very functional for the player. And then, you know, when servers can handle it, they breathe life into these locations for the NPCs.
Dedicated trade building module.
I think we're getting a Connie rework.
I mentioned earlier some more like general mission types that you might find that would be agnostic of archetype. And the archetypes themselves reflect that primary gameplay function of a settlement, but there's also a middle layer. Of course, we don't want these locations to just be a glorified shop or repair station. So there's to be more secondary activities to do locally to an outpost that are also defined by its archetype.
Welcome.
So you may find scrapyards can offer salvage-related gameplay and missions. Trading posts can also offer delivery missions or hauling and cargo gameplay.
Right, this is the classic Star Citizen talk, where what could be is not what they do, and not what they've done in the past. But I really hope that what he says does become true sooner than later, right? Like, the thing that I would love to see is, especially with the SRV coming online, is to deliver salvage to these locations, right?
And farms can offer crops and fauna as resources for gathering or trading. So with archetypes as our primary category, in addition, we mix in a secondary category, and these are the thematic overlays. Now, at the moment, we have two main themes. Internally, we call these independent and outlaw. So themes offer additional variation on top of the archetypes to inform the look and feel of a location, not just visually, but which people you'll interact with there, how they'll respond to you based on your rep, what types of missions you'll have available to take on. So themes don't change the fundamental architecture of a space or the archetype of a location, but they do drastically alter the mood and feel, as well as altering the gameplay experience significantly. And again, let's take a look at the...
Hey, Raz, thank you, and congratulations, by the way.
First of our themes, our independent theme.
So this is an independent theme. And yeah, they're going to walk us around. I mean, just... you can see layer upon layer upon layer of building, right? Like, there's just more buildings than you have time to, like, walk in. But yet again, if you look, the NPC behind, static as fuck, right? Everything just still feels dead. And again, that's okay. That's why I keep arguing for, like, a place where you can... you know, if it's a salvaging yard, you need to provide the gameplay for the player to interact with the salvage yard. And who cares what the NPCs can do for right now until you can deliver meaningful content and make these locations feel alive with ships coming and going and NPCs doing meaningful activities at these locations, right? That's how I feel these locations should be, right? Like, that refinery over there should have a panel that I, the player, can go to and interact with in some way. Where's the casino? I imagine we're going to have a casino station somewhere. I heard you can just, grab the fruit from those things. And look at this. What is this? It's a shop terminal. So they are doing that, it looks like.
Cool. Thank you.
So that was probably a bit of a trading post, right?
So as a neutral player, the independent theme presents a much more social, visual, and gameplay experience. The primary visual read across both themes, so across both Outlaw and Independent, comes from those common architectural forms. And they're
this is what Quanta was supposed to fix from Tony Z, right? The NPC scheduler. Pepe laugh. I mean, we don't know anymore, you know? So that's what is it called? Subsumption, right? We'll see. I don't know, man. I don't know, but for now we don't have a lot to go on there. I'm just basically saying that there's just server limitations at the moment, and until those server limitations are resolved, we should just focus on player interaction at these locations, because that'll already be dialed in, and then you just mold in the NPCs to that already good experience.
Generally all more rounded and soft in shape, and the building manufacture techniques are more robust and primitive, with single-story dwellings built from stucco and bare metal. But for this theme specifically, we use soft textiles, warm lighting and color palettes, foliage, decoration that layer on top of those utilitarian structures to give that sense of home. And I use the word home for our independent theme quite a lot, because we really want to get that feeling that this is home for the people that live there, despite those harsh realities of frontier life. And in contrast to that, we have a theme that lies in a direct opposition to the independents, which we call the outlaw theme. So let's take a look at that now as well.
And there's just blasting instantly, which I find is a good start. I mean, CIG does locations incredibly well. They just got to bring life to them, man. And yeah, just so you know, ballistic turrets at these locations. So if there's ever been a point to use a ground vehicle, is now. You might want to land a little far away and drive in.
So the outlaw theme tells that story of these once functional settlements being completely overrun by the various criminal elements that inhabit the system.
Or just bomb the whole
we have
place.
Themes of a regressed and subverted civilization. So we layer on top of the architecture these spiked and aggressive forms, and we have evidence of a squalid living arrangements, and lighting comes from fires or poorly maintained fixtures. Some spaces are going to be recognizable as deformed versions of the independent theme, but some have been completely changed to more nefarious purposes.
What are your thoughts on allowing us to drive rather than taking the tram in the cities? I mean, you could do that in Microtech. Yeah.
And while both themes employ all of the various alternative pathing and traversal considerations that Khan detailed just earlier, the outlaw spaces are weighted more towards combat. But just because these spaces are more dangerous and the experience can be more combative, that doesn't mean that the archetype of the outpost is lost. So if you as a player choose to be a criminal working up your rep with a headhunter gang, you'd be welcome at the trading posts, and you'd be able to buy and sell items or take on missions. But you probably won't then be very welcome at the independent-themed locations, and that's where you'd get your combat experiences.
So again, the theme of every single panel talking about reputation continues. Talking about it,
so
not implemented in the game
looks
yet.
very different.
It's got to be coming.
Of those archetypes
got to be a
still
big
remain.
focus.
So I've talked about the kinds of outposts we've been hard at work on, and
Do you play Star Citizen these days? If so, what do you usually do? I usually do mining or salvaging or whatever, or some stuff with my org, which is what we're going to be doing today. So right after this video, basically, we're going to do a big operation with my org.
I hope you've enjoyed checking them
around
out over
salvage.
the last 2 days in the Pyro demo. It's really made me very pleased to see people playing our content at last, so thank you for that. But where are we heading from here? Well,
also, why, like, we had an Evo patch yesterday. Why was Evo under NDA when everybody at CitizenCon can just take their phone and show the event?
I hope it should be obvious that we're going to get these out for the first Pyro release. We still have some final optimization and polish passes to do across the whole library. We're also going to be expanding the amount of these locations throughout Pyro and beyond, and our tools allow us to do that very quickly now. And we've got the library as well to do it. And the new outposts are not limited to the Pyro system. They're completely system agnostic, so you can expect to see these outposts in other systems as well. And of course, we're going to look to add more ingredients, more of those modules to the library as well, to further expand the variety and depth you'll be able to see at these new locations. We want to encourage more on-foot gameplay within a smaller ecosystem of a planet to give that more localized and personal feeling experience. Our goal with these locations, as with many of the others we're going to hear about today, is to continue to work on the gameplay so that every location offers a rich playground to explore.
All right, so yeah, they're showing us visually, but they're saying the focus is to work on the gameplay now. So that's their current focus, it sounds like, to bring these locations to life a bit more. Because as like I've been saying, they're incredible. They're reading as they're of what they're trying to make them feel like and be like, but it's about bringing the gameplay to the locations.
I guess I'd like to finish just by thanking everyone for listening today.
Which is obviously very important.
I'm going to pass you over to Nick, who's going to talk about some locations who are coming in the nearer future. Thank you.
Bonjour tout le monde.
Thank you, Slagan.
Yoo! We are French-Canadian on the... Here? Cool. All right, guys. My name is Nicolas Pinchot. I'm from Montreal. I'm assistant art director, and I'm here today to show you the next new derelict settlement we did. But just before that, I just want to say thank you to everyone who worked on that mandate. You guys made an awesome work. I'm super happy and proud to be here today to show you that, all of you guys and to the world. So let's go to the chase and let me present you the new derelict settlement.
And these are in Stanton. Are these coming in 322? I think they are, right? They feel a little bit smaller than the ones they showed at Pyro as well. Right, but still much bigger than what we currently have. Sort of like mini Wake of Disasters, right? Or not Wake of Disaster, oh my god. Like, look at that. It looks just like the Derelict Reclaimer. I'm losing my mind. What is it? The Derelict Reclaimer mission. Ah! Brain, work, function this morning. Ghost Hollow, thank you. Could not function. This was the craziest one. And when he said near future, like, oil rig now. You know, K-Kona chills. FPS nightmare? Or a dream. Depends on who you talk to. Yeah, it smells like freedom over here, I'm pretty sure. Freedom and ecological disasters. Thank you, Abbott. It's incredibly big.
Pretty cool, guys, eh? Oh, by the way, we made more than 4. It's not just 4. We made more than that. So we split those settlements into categories, social and hostile. In the social one, we'll have drop-off mission, shops, food, loots, and drinks. And hostile one, just...
Okay. So the social one, you have drop-off locations, food, loot, and drinks. So we're starting small.
Three would be more focused combat. Let me show you what it looks like.
And then the other ones would be focused on combat. Like this, like during CitizenCon, this was my subtle reminder that we're still stuck playing Star Citizen. You know? We're making new beautiful locations, but it's still fucking Star Citizen. You know? I also don't want to drink Cruise Lux anymore, Space Cutlet. I can't wait. I can't wait to show people. Yeah, guys, look. New missions to do retrieval op at. Now it comes down to, you know, are you going to find new unique weapons? You know? New unique weapons. Bro, first time chatter comes in and says, "Do you ever play the game?" Oh God, I think this is just a simple. We're not gonna have a good time with you, so see you later. But when lightsabers? I don't know. The Tavaran have swords, right? Look, the same gameplay you've had for the last 3 years. It just looks a little different. Oh my God! Grenades that blow up with squares. Right? So again, I don't want to take away from the locations because the locations are incredible, but what needs to start happening is new experiences. And,
I like the end.
Yeah.
The end's awesome. All right, in summary, guys, we're
More
going
things
to have
for us
a
to
lot
interact
of new
with.
location on planets, links with nice mission and good gameplay. And the most important, all those locations will be in Q4 this year, available in the game.
Okay, Q4 this year. So that's another thing confirmed in 322. Yeah, good gameplay.
So thank you very much. I will let now Adam to show you more good stuff. Thank you.
Well done, mate. Yeah. Hi, everyone. All right.
Yeah, and these guys, the Montreal guys, did incredible puzzles and stuff with the derelict, like caterpillars and things like that. I think that they brought such a new element to the game.
So, welcome to Rust Stop Stations. I'm Adam Sanders, lead environment artist for EUL1. We're excited today to show you our efforts for the Pyro Rest Stop Stations.
Pyro Rest Stops.
What are Pyro Rest Stop Stations?
Remember when Pyro wasn't supposed to have like the ability to refuel, rearm? Remember when they sold us on refueling?
Well, these are stations reinvented. These have new themes, archetypes, and gameplay.
Remember that?
to support new and interesting experiences. Aside from the social aspects, there is gameplay and exploration on the location. I've hoped you had a chance to play the demo over the past couple of days. I know I've spoken to a few of you. It's pretty good, right? Yeah? It was a sneak peek of our current progress. Let's kick off with an overview of the Pyro system. For the Pyro system release, we plan on 6 planets and 26 stations, including jump point stations that connect for Stanton and future systems such as Magnus.
No problem. Just 26 stations. Just 26 stations you can refuel at now.
Rest stop stations are either in rundown or abandoned states.
I mean, if you make enemies with all the factions, that what's going to happen? Yeah, I get what we're saying with reputation coming into play, but they did really sell refueling as in like none of these, like Pyro would be empty of these things. But then it's very obvious that if Pyro was empty, it would be kind of cringe, you know?
Citizens of Pyro, the Rough and Ready Outlaws, and Xenothreat may control these. Our focus today will on the Rough and Ready owned, Pyrotech Amalgamated.
Yeah, you can't refuel at the abandoned ones. True,
Fuel
true,
and
true,
Resource Station, Planet 2, Lagrange Point 4.
But still.
Otherwise known as Checkmate Station.
The point that I'm making is there's going to be a lot more opportunities to refuel than we initially thought. And they really sold you on refueling and everything with Pyro coming in, right? And it doesn't seem like that's the case, but it also makes sense that it's not the case, just because they want gameplay on these locations, like they said, and Pyro is devoid of a lot of the locations and stuff that we currently have in Stanton, and I think they wanted the next system to have something to do in, hopefully, so yeah. Yeah, exactly. Everybody melted their Starfarers because the system just doesn't even work, right? Exactly, Cutlet. I have been to here. I have been to this station. I think. What's the roadblock with reputation? That it literally just went to the mission team not too long ago. So it's a system that touches everything, and it's going to take some time to implement. I think that's what the roadblock is. Also, it's something like Elliot's working on, so it's probably not going to work. Yeah, this is checkmate. He literally just got here. I can't. How, Elliot? Elliot, we love you. We do it out of love. Oh, this is going on YouTube and nobody's going to understand what I'm talking about. Elliot, I got on DJ's New World server. So let's fucking go. We're going to level.
To create a richer experience from rundown stations, we have 3 key points. So increased reputation gives you access to new areas, unique gear, and mission givers. It also relates to basic functions such as the hub clinics, which need at least a neutral standing with their owners. Combat can take place anywhere, including social areas. Numerous options for environment traversal and enhanced environmental interactions. We aim to include new substation areas such as the workers area, lower deck, and maintenance areas.
Dude, everything that we saw at CitizenCon from these locations are 3 times bigger, maybe, of walkable, interactive. Well, it's, you walk around it, so it's arguable if it's interactable, but they're huge in comparison to what we have in Stanton.
These areas will offer unique content, more environment interactivity, and interconnection between areas. Our journey begins when the player arrives in the entry deck view room. The entry deck serves as the first barrier between the outside world and the interior of the station. Some inhabitants are prevented from going inside and are stuck here, with no means of getting out. Slums are formed beneath the bridge, smuggling routes established. Some shopkeepers will sell you water and food on your way into and out of the station. Let's have a look.
Questions, are these armistice zones? Anybody that was at the event, were they? I don't know. Am I going to play Pyro on stream? The moment I'm allowed to, I'll try, yes. I mean, it's hard to say because there's no, He just said that everything is a combat zone? I'll just say wait until it comes in, okay? I'm not trying to break my NDA. I played last night, yeah.
Khan touched on reputation earlier. Let's see how that is applied to the stations.
I can't say anything about it
in the entry deck affect gameplay? What happens if we have good reputation? So if you had good reputation, you could go straight through. This is no fun.
Another example of a reputation gating these locations, which is very exciting. It's more of a when now than if, and we love that.
And it's the quickest way to maneuver through the station. However, you've got to put the time and the effort in to get to this point. What happens if you neutral reputation? So you might be waved through. Maybe you have to pay a bribe, and you don't want to pay, so you're going to have to find an alternate pathing. Or you're going to have to build up your reputation. If you have bad reputation, and for all you naughty ones out there, I know some of you exist, this applies to you. In short, you're going to have a tough time, but you have options. So stealth via other pathways might be one of those options. You build your reputation up from scratch, or you could probably fight. Let's focus on those alternate pathways. The modules in the station are broken up into several traversal areas. As with the other location archetypes, we define these spaces as secondary or tertiary routes, as opposed to the more official primary paths.
So way more ways to get in than just a
modules
landing.
Are connected with vents and maintenance shafts.
In a hangar, right?
These reward the players with infiltration and exploration paths, as well as potential loot. So what alternative routes exist to enter this, access the station? We'll offer the opportunity to access the station through multiple EVA points on the exterior. It gives you the choice on how to tackle missions and reputation issues. These alternative entries allow the player to circumvent the ATC loop completely, useful for when your reputation with the owners would normally prevent you from going through more official ways. These serve as spaces that provide content aligned or against the owners of the station. The maintenance hatch access points are a new common sublocation to the stations. The stations are planned.
They need EVA points in Stanton, literally in like 2017, 2018, something like that. They did an SCL where they talked about adding those and creating missions for them, and they just never did it.
And to house maintenance areas that increase the interconnection between all the different sub-areas of the station. They act as alternative pathways the player can take to traverse from the entrance area to the Galleria, for example. Now let's have a look at our
Do you think no one will camp these locations? Of course they're going to be camped.
Main social space. The market. A central location for the controlling faction, it houses all their nefarious activities. You can participate in their endeavors if you have the right rep. Let's have a look at some of those key features.
So these faction areas you're allowed to go to if you have reputation. So Gang Black Market was below me. And then you could see premium equipment linked to reputation. So again, just incredibly delivering on some of the things that we would have loved to have seen in the game so much earlier. And I could care less now that we're there now, we're talking about it now, we're thinking about delivering it now, and even thinking about delivering it and communicating that to their entire player base means so much more to me than the whole video that we've seen so far of these cool looking locations. Like, what do we do at these locations? Why would a player want to go to Pyro? Why would a player living in Pyro, what advantage would they gain from being there, right? Think about people who, you know, do piracy type things in Stanton. Are they going to be building rep with these places, you know, and allowed to go here and maybe deliver guns and sell them to Stanton or unique armors or whatever, right? Like this is a really big deal for the future of player-to-player interaction with trading and so on, right? Especially with what we know about the future of FPS gameplay, where they do want to deliver a more varied experience between guns, right? So like certain guns would be more a little entry level and other guns would be a lot more powerful and things like that, right? And maybe those guns will be a lot more difficult to find in Stanton and might be a little easier to come across in Pyro, right? There might be more of them in Pyro, but you know, to say that they would be easy to come across would hopefully be wrong, and it would require you know, learning how to live in a place like this. Access to a faction bar, and if we know anything about bars and Chris Roberts games, is unique missions, hopefully. Right? And then you have power, air, temperature, and 0G options. And then interactions to support these. Fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed. The opportunities here are... This is what Pyro's all about. Right? Is creating a place where people want to go, but there's so much friction to be there that only certain players can survive here. And those players will gain an advantage. And that was disgusting, yes.
So the market is a social hub and a good example of mixing social and gameplay space, as mentioned by Khan earlier. Another reputation gate can be found in the market.
But yeah, we're still just talking about potential. So it's about delivering that potential this year, right? This is the thing. CIG went mainstream. You know, everybody's looking at all the cool stuff their engine could do and Squadron 42 demos. You got to deliver on this potential now for people.
The ground floor is open to the common public. The upper floor is reserved to rough and ready outlaws and their associates. If you have increased reputation, you can access the area. You can access this area, which gives you access to premium items, top-tier mission givers, and access to new areas. We plan to house mission givers in both tiers that will give you unique jobs to further your reputation and fame across Pyro. Now let's have a look at another theme.
Yeah, it's all plans.
Abandoned is a new, non-social location theme. Let's have a quick look at the current abandoned area on Checkmate.
And what does the abandoned area have? You know, maybe missions, but the abandoned area would hopefully have, like, maybe something players can take over and a reason to take over it? I don't know. Because it's like, yeah, they say stealth gameplay. Exploration and looting. You know, these are things that we currently have. So it's like, why? You got to really tell me why we want to be there. PvP and PvE. What are we fighting over, right? You know, what would be cool is maybe like really, really good, I don't know, refinery jobs or something, right? That go faster and cheaper or free even. And then people would want to fight over those for some reason for crafting at some point, right? So like, I don't know. These locations have to have something that drives you to them. And I wonder what those are. Have they ever spoken about travel time between Stanton and Pyro? Does quantum travel drive matter? No, because it's a jump drive thing, right? You're jumping. It looked fast. I don't know.
So we have entire abandoned stations as separate locations. On top of that, there are abandoned areas within the rundown stations, much like the ones you probably see in the demo. There will be around 15 of these around the Pyro system. These are accessible through airlocks and breaches or other means. We aim to enhance all the space locations with a lot more gameplay content. Loot runs, exploration, creatures, missions of various types with PvE and PvP content, just to name a few.
Yeah, like they have the potential for this, but like, does a loot run currently like really exist in the way that exists in other games right now? No. So given that we're like having a Pyro preview this coming, in the next few days, tells me that like a loot run is not going to feel incredibly great. Any missions or interactions with NPCs are it's probably going to feel a lot like Stanton feels when it comes to gameplay with Pyro art, right? And all that. So it's really about delivering on what they're saying here.
We're also laying
and
a
having
focus
it be
on
meaningful.
Environment interactivity with potential retrofitting of occupied stations.
And it sounds
With
like
the
that's
future
their
addition
focus.
of
We'll
security
see.
systems and the resource network system, we will have the means to further improve the experience within these spaces and offer new challenges. With power, life support, and gravity playing a key role to give the player a unique experience, especially in abandoned stations. So, what do Pyro rest stop stations bring to the game?
I mean, but look at this
Lots
shit.
more variety.
What does it bring? Like your mouth drops when you walk in, when you
space
fly
stations, with more gameplay opportunities within a station location. Opportunities for exploration, hidden areas, multiple options for access or traversal. These are faction-owned, and reputation will affect the location and gameplay. These feature lots of new mission opportunities within social space and multiplayer opportunities for combat on location. So I hope you have enjoyed this sample of what stations will offer and had a chance to have a go on the demo the past couple of days.
Well, that's it. But yeah, that was, I forgot to turn annotations off, so it's just fucking shit all over the screen. Yeah, I mean, that is what we can expect from Pyro and its settlements, as well as we got a little hint at what we're going to see in 322. So quite a few new locations in 322. I want to hold that oil rig. That place looks so cool. So yeah, I don't know what you guys think, but right now it just feels like they're still very Star Citizen, right? They're still all about locations and art, and look at how cool everything looks. And I'm still the same SaltEMike that is like, hey, so what do we do here? So what are we going to do at these locations? Tell me what we're going to do. And they're telling me what we're going to do. But I want to actually do them, right? So I really look forward to the next 12 months or so, and hopefully the big focus is on building out what we do. And given all the talk about reputation throughout the entire weekend, given all the talk about all the crazy things that they have plans in the next 12 months, that's really what I want to see. But CIG has to build the confidence in them, for me and for other people, I think, to prove that they can deliver on that stuff and that they will do those things. Talk is cheap. CIG has talked for a lot of years, but basically it's been a bit of the same for the last few of beautiful, beautiful, beautiful locations with tons and tons of potential. And hopefully this year is the year that they deliver on that potential a bit. I'm not expecting the game to be God tier or anything, but let's deliver on some of that potential, right?